This is a special Future of Coaching edition, a treat for the hockey world. Welcome to the Sheriff Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to celebrate the greatest influence in a hockey player's life other than his family, the coach. Other than mom and dad, siblings, and significant other, the coach is the most influential person in a hockey player's life. The coach is the hockey player's mentor, role model, and sometimes even best friend. These coaches will and can not only guide a player to success, but help develop the player, and most importantly, help the player become a better person. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am blessed to have two of the biggest characters that I know in my life. Both are former professional hockey players who have incredible insight and stories about when they were coached from the minor hockey league all the way to the pros. These gentlemen are now both coaching, and together we'll be discussing the future of hockey on a special Sheriff Podcast edition. Introducing to you first, he hails from Amherst, Nova Scotia. At 6'2", 215 pounds, he was drafted 98th overall by the Winnipeg Jets in 1990 NHL entry draft. He's played pro hockey in 3 different countries, over 300 games in the NHL, AHL, and IHL, ladies and gentlemen. He is the new coach of the Don Mills Flyers, AAA, in the GTHL. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my first guest, Mr. Craig Martin. How are you doing this evening?
I know, what an intro.
Introducing to you second, my next guest, he hails from Western Ontario. He represented the Toronto Marlies AAA growing up, was a big-time player for the London Knights, Mississauga Ice Dogs, and the Owen Sound Attack. Over 350 games, ladies and gentlemen, in the AHL and ECHL. He is the co-founder of Come and Get It Hockey School. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Dan Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. All right, guys, so I feel blessed right now to be able to have these two gentlemen with me. We have a very important topic to discuss, which is coaching. Now, I know that both of you obviously played minor hockey just like I did. Now, Craig, I want to start with you first, buddy. Where did you play your minor hockey?
I'm Amherst, Nova Scotia, born and raised Maritime. I played my minor hockey in the Amherst Hockey Association. Would have played up until minor band, minor midget, and that's when I would have went down to Pictou County. So I left the nest, went down towards Halifax. I played my AAA and then played junior after that. The rest is history.
Okay, so I heard a couple key things there. Now, first of all, Amherst, Nova Scotia. Now, I've been blessed to meet a couple of you fine gentlemen from Amherst, Nova Scotia. Guys like Mr. Bill Riley,
Yep.
who I'm sure you're very close with. Bill Riley's son as well. Yourself. Now, you guys are all played in the NHL, and you represent a special group. Obviously, you guys have been honored several times.
Yep.
Do you mind just talking a little bit about Amherst and Mr. Riley?
Oh, no, not at all. Like, just about Billy, like, what do you say? Like, like one of the top 3 black hockey players to break into the NHL.
Number 3, that's right.
Yeah, it was just huge, right? Like, Billy's son, Mark McFarland, myself and him were like great friends. So at the end of every season, we couldn't wait to get back home, right? And just to pick Billy's brain, because he'd always say, right, you're not big enough. You gotta get bigger in your chest, like, you know what I mean? And we go to his cottage, and he just, he sit down, have a couple beers, and you just pick our seasons apart, and see where we need to improve, and we'd go with that. But you know what? For a small town, 3 young black men, you know what I mean, doing great things in hockey, it's pretty good. So yeah.
I would say it's extremely good, man. And you know what? I got to give a round of applause for that as well. All right, so we're going to switch it over to our other guests. Now, Amherst is obviously a very well-known place. It's on the map in Canada. But another place that is Western Ontario. Weston, Ontario. Man, dude, there's so many things with Weston. Sully, tell the listeners and viewers about Weston, Ontario. What does Weston, Ontario mean to you, buddy?
I got a guest here that he used to always tell me that the east side of the Toronto was the toughest side, but I got to tell you, the west side was.
Oh, you're talking about me.
Well, I would say Mr. David Silverstar over here sitting in the corner. We used to argue about this all the time on the bus trips, and you know, I think the special thing about Weston was, you know, it wasn't a big community, but it was small enough where, you know, you could still go get your P-Mill sandwich on Saturday after you played your house league game. You know, my mom and I would walk down there. I'd play my game. We'd come up. The farmer's market was going on. By the time we were done, I think half the groceries were in my hockey bag, and I had a P-Mail, and that's all I cared about. And, you know, it was win or lose. I knew I was getting a sandwich, and that was my favorite part about, you know, Weston.
Dude, that I really yeah. Hey, I'll tell you a couple of reasons why I appreciate that. First of all, I got my appetite back now because we're talking about the P-Mill. Second of all, I appreciate being personable on my show because that's what the show is all about. Now, what I was kind of wanting to tie this into, guys, is I wanted to talk about the most memorable coaches that you guys had in those places that you just described for me. So Craig, going to you first, like in Amherst, like I know you got a chance to be coached by Mr. Riley, right? But was there anyone early on that kind of sticks out for you as a coach?
Yeah, no, like, yeah, there was Hal Davidson was his name. Good hockey player, played University of Dalhousie. Played junior.
Shout out to Dalhousie University. A lot of my teammates went through there, so I got to recognize that.
Yeah. So no, but Hal was good. Like coming up, making the jump from PB to Bantam, checking, contact, no contact, right?
It's a big deal.
So I was a big boy. I could play. So they wanted to bring me up a year. So this is where I'm going with this. So I'm on the ice.
I love it.
And Hal's the type of old school coach that would come around during practice and he'd freaking slash the stick on your hands and you know, hold it tight enough. You know? Stuff like that, right? So, anyways, skating down the ice, center ice, my head's down. Just get level. First skating, I just go over to the coach, hey, I want to go down. I want to go back to Pee Wee. But anyways, no, Hal's been instrumental with me. Yeah. Even when I came back, you know, if I had tough junior years, you know, he pulled me aside and talked to me, stuff like that. So yeah, I would say Hal Davidson, 100%. Right
on. So and I appreciate you sharing that, buddy, because like, you know, that's another personable thing on the Sheriff Podcast. So now, where I kind of want to go with this is like, now that we're older and we know, like, you know, we've all coached now. We know what it's like to be on the other side. What would you like to tell him? What you appreciate the most, man, about what you just explained, that, you know, that he stands out to you, you know, like what was it? Because I love sending messages through the show, right? Yeah. Like I love giving challenges, and I like sending messages. Yeah. Do you have a message for your memorable coach?
All right. That's my memorable coach when I'm younger. No,
yes.
Newell Brown was my memorable coach when I was playing pro.
Okay.
So I don't
say the name again.
Newell Brown.
Newell Brown.
Yeah. So he would have been assistant coach in Vancouver. It's been in NHL a long time.
That's a really cool name.
Just he's the first guy to give me a chance to play, right, as a player, right, and that's why I remember him. He just demanded more than just right. That's for Newell.
Right on.
I'd give him a hug right now if I could.
Yeah. Huge shout out. Sully, what about you, buddy?
The first question or the second question?
I want to know most memorable coaches in Weston.
Okay.
When you were in Weston as a young youth.
I gotta say, 100% Mario Chiquilo.
Mario.
Yeah. So yeah. I remember kind of crazy. I was living at 2100 Weston Road on an apartment 301. It was my favorite apartment because it faced Weston Road, and when my sister used to play the steel drums, the Santa Claus parade would come down, and she'd be she'd be the last one to play the drums before Santa, and all our family could just watch it outside our apartment building, and then we come to realization we're in friggin', you know, co-op housing, and that was the one day of the year that you could, you know, be excited. But anyways, Mario said, I want Dan Sullivan on the Marlies, and it was the same year. It was that transition year. Wexford Raiders had Brian McGrattan and Rafi Torres and Mike Zigamanis, and the Marlies were getting pushed around, and I was on the North York Canadians at the time, now the Junior Canadians, and I had this guy say, like, I'm meeting you at the Weston Donuts across from Nob Hill Farms at like Weston and the 401. And my mom's like, okay, go there. My mom's having a tea, coffee, donut. This guy's got like a really bad mullet. Like, I don't trust him. He's got like a fleece sweater on. I'm like, Mom, I don't know about this. And she's like, Dan, the guy's willing to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is just protect everybody. And there was a couple kids on that team that had a lot of money.
Yes.
And that was how I was able to play. And all those parents, they made sure I got home from practice. They made sure I had sticks. They made sure I had skates. They made sure I had everything. I had sleepovers with these families, and I got to realize like what it was like to like have these elaborate things in my life, and it was just incredible. And I think Mario gave me that opportunity. I became a Marley. Marley's led me into playing junior, getting drafted to London, and what a course of events to happen to a kid off of a co-op housing, Weston and Lawrence kind of building, to where I was established in the fact that I was a London Knight, and that was amazing.
Dude, I wish I could just listen to you guys all night long. You know what I mean? Because it's amazing. I appreciate you sharing that, Sully. And that's what kind of leads me in to my next topic. All three of us here grew up in single parent families, right? Yeah. All of our moms are super moms. They were able to do a lot for us. Now,
shout out to Joanne.
Shout out to Joanne. Shout out to Sheila. And shout out to
Teresa.
Now, okay, so before I continue, I just have to point out that we do have a studio audience here, and it's incredible. The place is rocking here at Bottom Line Sports Bar. We have Mr. Silverstone and David Silverstone in the audience. You guys better be ready, because you will eventually come up. And we also have Craig Martin's family's in the building as well. What's your son's name, Craig?
Marcus, the real.
Yeah! Oh, yeah! I like it. Daddy Granger Arts here. We got Jordan. We got a bunch of our buddies, a lot of friends, the servers. Everyone's rocking the place. Now, back to my topic, guys. We're all single parent. We're all products of single parent families. When a player is playing AAA hockey and having that type of schedule, having that type of competition, being alongside probably the most competitive kids in Toronto, with all the money behind them to back them up with two parents, that takes a lot for that kid. And what that kid needs is a coach that kind of gives a little bit of an extra role. Now, I was blessed to be able to have a coaches that kind of did that kind of fatherly role as well as my coach. I'm just curious if you guys experienced that, if it's anyone that stands out that kind of helped you grow as a man as well, not just as a hockey player. I don't want to get either one of you mad. So if you guys get mad, you guys might swing. I don't want to be here. So, hey, who wants to go first? Just relax, guys. Calm down. There you go.
Getting a shift here?
Yeah.
For me, like, I'd have to say Garnet Parker, right? Like, he was my Pee-wee coach, and when I was asked to play AAA in Pictou County, which is like 3.5 hours away, we travel down on the weekends, and we get billeted out. And his older son, Frank Parker, as well, was playing on that team. So,
right on.
So I would travel down with him and another guy. So, I mean, I was fortunate, like single mom, raising our trailer and stuff. And, my mom just stayed out of trouble. And she just trusted people. Like, like, are you taking my son for the weekend? And we're getting him home safe. But yeah, like I say, it was Garnet because it's the father of the guy. He drove us down at 3 hours every weekend, made sure we got home. If I didn't have money, made sure that I ate. He just looked out for us, right? He just looked out for me. So
Yeah.
I'd say like there's a lot of different people I touch on, but I mean, you know what? I keep forgetting about Garnet. He was probably the most influential, like father. He would pull me aside if I'm having problems at school. My mom would have him talk to me. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, he was that. Yeah.
That's amazing. I just wanted to add to that just a little bit. So the fact that you were blessed to have a situation like that, right? So you could appreciate, that because you were able to benefit from it. Now, you're a great father. You take care of these guys very well. You're a great role model to these guys. Is there situations where you see where like on your kids' teams that that one of those kids is in a single parent situation, and like do you kind of like give them a little bit more attention because you were that guy?
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I would say not necessarily the single parent side of it, but when I do see that, I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
But I just being like challenged. I don't know how to say like I don't want to say troubled child, but you're challenged, right? Like we get into shit.
Yeah.
And I've had a few kids at his age, at 8 years old, that I've had parents that actually wanted to give up on it. And I'm just like listen, that's absolutely not acceptable. Like, because I can put myself in that shoes. So there are kids. Yeah. There are kids I think of. I forget the question.
Hey, listen, just keep talking. The audience loves it. I love it. Sully loves it. The crowd loves it. Don't ever feel bad, man. Just keep talking. So what about you, buddy?
Say like I think what kind of changed my life as a hockey player was a family by the name of the McIntyres. You probably know Turtle. You guys would know Turtle.
Turtle was supposed to be here tonight.
Yeah, Mark McIntyre. Anyways, his dad and his mom were just like inspirational to how my seasons always went. And the one time I can tell you what changed it was his older brother was 2 years older than me, same age as Leslie. I remember him coming down the street and yelling at my household, like, "Where's Danny?" And we were playing, ball hockey in the park like we always did. And my mom yelling at me to get home and get my gear that I had to go play in a tournament because they were shorts and players. And I was so big as a kid that I could possibly play 2 years old.
Okay, so hold on. How big were you as a kid?
So like
how old are we talking right now?
So 12 years old.
12 years old.
I was like 5'11", like 169 pounds.
So grade 7.
Yeah.
You were 5'11".
Yeah, like I'm a monster dad, so I never I should have been a lot bigger. Not really sure what happened. Maybe it was some of the workouts.
You're pretty big though, Sully.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be disappointed, buddy.
Anyways, coming from a dad at 6'8", 405, that was a little small. But anyways, the bottom line is I got to play this tournament. It was the Wonderland Cup, which everybody has that Dust Collector Wonderland trophy. And I ended up being the most valuable player at the tournament. And the kid, a dad on the team, had an older son he had a 79 and he had an 81.
Okay.
And his 81, he was coaching the North York Canadians. And so how I ended up getting on that team was we were, Mark's dad, we were going for some fries and some food after the tournament. And Jeff Bacon says, "Hey, Dan, great tournament, great value to the team. Thanks for being here." And Jeff and, Kevin and Turtle, like Kevin goes, no, he's like 2 years younger.
Yeah.
But the tournament was over, so he could say this.
Yeah.
He's like, "What?" He's like, he's an 81. And he goes, "Yeah, I just borrowed him." He's like, he's our neighbor.
Jeez.
And then he goes, "Well, I got the 81 North York Canadians. Like, I want him."
Yeah.
And that's how I made sure to play hockey.
That's quite the story, buddy. I've never heard anything similar to that. Yeah. The crowd likes it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so I'm gonna switch things around a little bit now. This being the coaching edition. You guys both. We got. Yeah, yeah. The crowd is out of control, guys. So let's change it around a little bit. You guys are both coaches, okay? So I want to talk about now certain relationships that you guys have had with players as coaches, because I know that there's been some special ones. Now, Sully, I'm going to start with you. Now, I've had the opportunity to meet some of the fine young gentlemen that you've really, really helped along their journeys. And some of these gentlemen have now reached to the highest levels of hockey. Can you share some examples of like special connections that you've had with these like elite players that they are?
I mean, obviously, the first and foremost would be Owen Tippett, obviously, of the Philadelphia Flyers, just recently at the trade deadline traded for Claude Giroux.
I think is it this Owen Tippett?
Yeah. So special kid to me and my family. Honestly, it was a love at first sight connection with me and him. I remember watching him shoot a puck, and I just remember thinking, like, at 12 years old, like, I couldn't imagine like having a shot like that. And I got put on the team at the JRC year where I was a defensive coach. I wasn't a forward coach, and he would play, an off night here and there, and he was expected by a lot of people, especially in his position, to score goals. And when he didn't, certain influences, which I don't really want to get into, but would kind of make that eye or wink or whatever, and Owen would kind of not get the ice time. And he actually, at some points, he gets sent to me as a defensive coach. And I would say, hey, man, don't worry about it. The best part about you playing D for me is you can now you got 3 zones to go.
Yeah.
So I'd say just pick her up and go. And he would just skate through everybody and score a goal. And the next thing I know, he wouldn't be my D anymore. He'd be back up at forward. And so they played these Mickey Mouse games anyways. I remember just saying to Owen, when it came push to shove in a minor midget year, which everybody knows, like, I think the definition of minor midget hockey should be insanity in the dictionary. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
Everybody gets really crazy about that year, especially parents, especially kids, and they put everything and all their marbles in one basket, and it can create like a lot of turmoil with kids that you grew up with your whole life, to separating the good from the bad, the strong from the weak, and it really puts a lot of stress on a lot of families. We went through all that. We got through it. I said, Owen, what you and I need to do is we need to get out of this age group. Your name and what's going on is kind of not been tarnished, but there's a lot of outside influence on this. Let's get out of here. Went to the 98 age group. He lit it up. Was talks about him going exceptional status, which you guys all know is crazy. Yes. That means you're telling the next age group above is like you're the best player in the league. And when you have Maskern and Mete and Chikrin and all these guys who are men, it's not something you're willing to do. So we decided not to do that. Well, not we, but his family. And at that point, being the best 98 prospect as a 99 coming into your draft year, he had from Bobby Marshall and the Titans to Wendell Clark and the Marlies with Dan Brown, who's Connor Brown's dad. I mean, you had the top teams in the GTHL fighting for Owen Tippett. And I remember walking outside of York University, and I said, Owen, like, I got the 99s, like, what's your plan? And he said, as long as you're coaching, I'm going to hang and bang with you. And I was like, awesome. Now we can recruit, right? So
I think I like that. I like that.
So Owen and his mom gave me that permission to use their name, which is a big deal. You'll understand that when we start recruiting. And it's such a solidified position because you actually can say, like, if you really want to talk to them, here's their number. A lot of parents will waffle. Mm-hmm. They're not committed. You think they're committed. You sit in the bottom line sports bar. You have a drink with a parent. You buy them a steak dinner. Next thing you know,
and great wings.
They're at Shoey's down the street, and they're with the Titans. So you got to remember it's a game, and at that point, I remember just saying, I was committed to this family. He was committed to me. Every other team had an Owen Tippett. you know, I tried to tell that to his family, like, you are my guy. Like,
Yeah.
That's why you're with me, and you won't get this opportunity. When C.J. Clark starts playing well, who's Wendell Clark going to sit? When you know, when this guy in the Titans plays well, who are they going to sit?
Yep.
You're not that guy. You're there to pass those guys the puck, and you're not going to be Owen here. When you're here with me, I'm getting guys to build a team around you.
Yes.
So I focused on that, and you know, him going 4th overall on a Red Wings team that was 6th in the league, just made the OHL Cup, barely land, you know, anything. Was kind of cool because they finished last year before I got there.
It gives me shivers, buddy, just to hear that kind of stuff. I want to come back to another point with Owen, similar to our situations. Before we wrap up the show, though, because I want to get both of you, I want to ask you, Craig, your son's in the crowd. You've coached your kids before. I want to talk to the viewers and listeners out there that are coaches that are coaching their parents. Do you have any advice? I know obviously I got to get your go at this too, but do you have advice for parents today? Because, man, have we ever seen a lot of parents really screw up their kids' careers? Like, I got to say it, man. Like, we can all think of like 5 or 6 guys on every single team growing up. Yeah, his dad messed him up. His dad messed him up.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
What can we say to some of these parents?
For me, like what I'll say, and it's very short, very sweet. With Marcus and Isaiah, I had to be willing to change. I had to be willing to listen to them and change on the fly. What works for Marcus didn't work for Isaiah, and sometimes we have to have those talks. And you just gotta, I don't know, you just gotta admit when, hey, maybe you don't know everything as a dad, and you gotta know when to put the coach hat on and the dad hat on. And when you're at the arena, it's the coach hat. You love your son, you're always gonna love him, but it's a coach hat. You have to hold him accountable. But the biggest thing for me is like to let him know how proud he should be of himself and how proud I am of him. And I don't need to be hard on him. You know what I mean? Like, I need to give him the props too. So yeah.
I could see the passion. That's awesome, buddy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool, ladies and gentlemen. Really cool, man. That's really, really cool stuff. You have anything on this?
I think when you're coaching, you can get caught up in that passion of wins and losses because we're so competitive in what we do that I think like a lot of the times like with Daniel and stuff, I want him to be as competitive as I was and love the game as much as I do, but sometimes you got to remember that that might not be their passion, and you got to let them find what they want to do because I put so much into Daniel and I force him to want to love the game as much as I do, but I think at the end of the day, Sean, that might not be Daniel's passion, and you just got to kind of be a dad, and that's the hardest thing because you want to make sure that they do the right thing and it's 100%, and you know, because that's all we've ever done.
Yeah.
But that might not just be in hockey. You know, like Daniel's playing soccer, Ava's drawing, you know, Danny's an artist. Like, you don't know. And so you just got to support them when they do. And when you find it, you'll see it. And I think that's the main point to me.
Yeah. And, like, don't mind me. I just saw the wings and the burgers and the fries and everything just arrived in our VIP section here. Okay, all right, I'm focusing. Okay, so now, Craig,
Yes.
Sully, you guys are both going to be coaching this year. Now, you are Mr. Don Mills Flyers. We had a conversation the other day saying that there's maybe an opportunity that you're actually going to coach one of your kids this year.
There's a couple opportunities. I hope that whoever is watching this doesn't watch it if you're out, but I might have to be in. So, you know, that might happen.
Man, that was one cool way to say that, man. I have to admit. That was awesome. Okay, so
How many times did you get taken out of the lineup when you weren't expected to get out of the lineup?
man,
It just happened, right?
as a fourth liner my whole career,
Right. You didn't know.
it was part of a routine.
You were told to be ready to play, and that's all I can tell you. So if you're in, you're in. If you're out, deal with it.
Words of wisdom here on the Sheriff Podcast. I absolutely love it. Okay, so guys, obviously, I wish I could have you guys forever. This was such an action-packed episode that honestly, like, I'm so fired up. I don't want it to end. The producers have been screaming at me for 10 minutes. It's over, it's over. I'm like, no, let us continue. So, in all honesty, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on. We're going to have to do a part 2. Because we probably touched on about 2 out of 10 things that I wanted to touch on. So now I'm seeing something pretty cool right here, though, and we got to squeeze this in. Talked about it here.
I was going to say, Jamie Drysdale was my captain with the Marlies, one of the captains. The other 2 guys, Wyatt Johnson, Will Cooley, battling it out right now, Game 7.
Yes.
Hamilton Bulldogs versus Windsor Spitfires. Exceptional year. The O2s, I tell you, I met people in here tonight when they saw the jersey. They came up to me, asked me how Jamie was doing. Awesome. Great kid. Awesome year. We'll never forget it. And there are really good parts of coaching. And this was sent to me literally yesterday before the show. What a timing of events. But yeah, like this is
very cool video.
This is all we appreciate when kids make it, is like when something like this shows up. I don't care about tickets. I don't care nothing. I can hang that on the wall. And Jamie Drysdale, thank you so much. And for every other kid that I coached, keep giving her. And with 29 Jocelyn Crescent, send your jerseys.
All right, so we're going to sign off, but I just got to give a shout out to all my favorite coaches. Mr. Glenn Robeson, Kerry Durant, Jim Taylor, Mark Hunter, Michael Fuda, George Burnett, Randy Cunnyworth, Pierre Peltier, Steve Thornton, and of course Dean Litigascos from the Marquis de Jonquière days. Any last words here, guys?
Well, thank you, Sean, for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's great meeting you too. Absolutely.
I'll slide you guys the $10 bill for saying all the nice stuff too, so I appreciate it, guys. But honestly, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm just happy that these guys didn't get mad. As you see how tough and strong they look, I'm actually small on the stage show, and I'm just glad that everything was kosher. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time, guys. Woo!